All right. Thank you, Oleg, and fun to see you all, or like see the numbers growing in our audience. So today we are talking about how to create a successful resume. But first of all, we will introduce ourselves, and then we will tell you like what we were thinking about this topic and how do we handle this. So my name is Arya Martikainen. Many people know me. I've been in gaming industry since 2004 and recruited tons of people to the industry. I also run Games Jobs Finland. And was it Maija or was it like Aleksandra? Aleksandra, I think.
Yeah,
You want.
so I'm Aleksandra. I'm based in Denmark. I've been doing technical recruitment mainly. Currently, I'm a recruiting lead at Tactile Games, and previously I worked at Unity as a technical recruiter as well, supporting R&D organization, and then previously also doing some tech recruitment within tech companies.
And Maija.
Yeah, hey all, I'm Maija. I'm leading the talent acquisition operations at Yousician. And I'm actually pretty fresh within the tech recruitment industry. I've been now at Yousician for 6 months. And before that, I have almost a decade experience in executive search and different kind of recruitment agencies.
All right. So we were thinking that instead of telling you exactly like how to build a resume, we decided to start first of all with the typical mistakes or don'ts that we see when we open up a CV, and we'll cover some things like, for example, like how does the talent acquisition people work when they are browsing, like sometimes even like hundreds of CVs, or like hopefully at least a couple of dozen CVs that come to our job board, or like databases. So maybe is it Aleksandra? We can go like this way. Aleksandra, please tell first of all, that what is your average timing, like to see through a CV when you open it up?
I think it really depends on the role, but it sometimes can be a very quick overview. When we are used to the sort of the drill, sometimes it's 1 to, I'd say, 3 minutes even when we look at it, or maybe extending to 5 sometimes. But something that I think and more like an inside information for people who are applying. Sometimes we sit with, I don't know, 5 to 10 jobs as a recruiter, where you get maybe from 50 to 300 applications depending on the role. So there is really not much time in the day, including screening calls with candidates and meeting with our managers, to actually sit and be super thorough. And if the CV is too complex, there's too many information there, or information that is irrelevant, it might get lost in the sort of the pile that we're dealing with.
Yeah, I agree with Aleksandra here, as usually we do when we review the assignments. We want to be as efficient as possible. And with every job, there usually are some things that are the must-haves. And usually when I read a CV, I try to scan through the must-have. Would it be Python? Would it be QA automation? Would it be growth marketing or whatever? But still, like, we are scanning through the experiences and kind of the keywords there. So therefore, it's important that when you send a CV, add those kind of keyword skills, technical aspects to the CV as well. So that kind of arouses the first interest of the recruiter, and then they will read it more thoroughly, the whole CV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would even build on that and say that one of the most common mistake is actually not looking at those specific requirements for this specific job that you're applying for, and not putting those keywords or not putting those skills, because maybe for sure you have the skills that are listed in the job specification in the job ad, but maybe we don't see them, and then it for sure it will get lost somewhere.
Agreed. And also, as we recruiters, we do a lot of LinkedIn, kind of scanning through LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is the format most familiar to us. So if you want to do us a favor in a way that you want to be as clear to us, try to make your CV to be in a similar format than LinkedIn. So the summary, short summary maybe, then the experience, and always the freshest first. So the latest experience is the first one that the person sees, and also in a similar format than LinkedIn. So then it's more easier, more clearer for the recruiter to go through it, and not to have your education or your first job there first, because that might confuse the recruiter as well.
Yeah. And what I could add is that usually I just take a browser and go like this. And I need to basically see all the things, the details at one glimpse. So, but of course, sometimes I'll just stop and like start looking a little bit more thoroughly. And there is like LinkedIn is actually quite important these days, and it should have pretty much the same information as in your CV. But then, in order not to like get it too overwhelming, so that there is like practically everything. So sometimes there like LinkedIn has to have enough information, and also like the skill set, the essential skill set, like for example, the 5 of your skills, the essential skills at least. And then if asked, or if you just submit a CV, usually like what I've noticed that employers actually like, or hiring managers, they also look at like how does the actual CV look, what is the appearance of its like layout, and is it nicely put, does it have typos, like mistakes, just like simple, like you've been careless and you've been writing so even your latest title wrong or something like that. And then also like what I look very often is that the additional information, if you are applying to a gaming job, it is very important to have for example the published games listed, or if you do not have any published games. So in that case, then you may have some hobby experience, and it is good to kind of like point out like somewhere, like even in a separate section, that these are my projects, and this is done in this and this context. The genre was this, and these and these tools were used to do it, and or yeah, that type of like, that is very interesting. And especially if you are looking for a developer job, like the studio job, then it is very vital that you have something. But the good news is that in gaming industry, if you have anything done even as a hobby, that may be, and that will be your opening to the industry. So any hobby project is really great here.
Yes, and just remember about the relevancy. So if you see a job, just remember to be relevant for the specific job. I feel like this is the most often sort of mistake that we see as talent acquisition, that people just put everything there. That is just not you can't really connect it. How is it relevant for this specific opening? So I think that's being super specific on information, and showing your achievements, showing your projects, even if it's a pet project that you did outside of your usual work.
Agreed there. And also one mistake is that people add only what the company does or the team does and what they have accomplished, but we are hiring individuals, of course, for the teams, but still. So we are curious to hear what was your part, what have you done personally in this project or in this, and what has been your role here?
Yeah, it is like a simple line. Like my role was the like lead developer in this project, and I was other developer, like part of the development team doing, for example, UI in this other project. So that is like that helps really a lot.
Yeah, and the core expertise.
Core
No, I'm
expertise.
interested in various things, but my core expertise is Python. We want to kind of have it more simplified person to understand the person better.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of the skill grades on the CVs that people sometimes do. So this is also a bit hard to understand when you put, for example, Unity, super complex, and you put it that a 10 out of 10. It really doesn't give us enough context, and it sort of makes us question a bit. Okay, what does it mean 10 out of 10? Did you maybe take part in writing the engine itself, maybe? So maybe instead of putting the scores on the tools, it's good to know how, in what situation, in what projects you use them, and that will give us just that. That's just great. That's a great help for us to understand.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Arja. So for each role that you've had in your CV, after that, add a kind of addition text stack used in this, or the way that we can also track, okay, this person has been using TypeScript or Unity for in several years in several projects, several companies already.
And so like one thing to avoid, or that you could actually improve like in your CV, is that when you, for example, there are people I see, okay, C++ or like C#, Unity, bit of Python, bit of this and bit of that. So in order to help or like make it more clear and not to disappoint the actual interviewers at some point, if you have been doing like, for example, Unity C# for like 4 years or 5 years. So basically that would be very good to illustrate somewhere that C#, for example, 5 years, Python, year and a half. And usually we read, okay, Python, does this person have something to do with data? So then we kind of like start to do these quick links that, okay, maybe this person has been going towards data like engineering or something similar. So these are also good to illustrate these type of things, that for how long actually you've been working, because unfortunate truth is that very often, for example, I'm a recruitment I'm an agent, and my customers say that I want minimum 5 years or minimum 8 years or minimum 10 years. And then when I'm browsing through the CVs, like very usually I'm just like calculating, okay, 2 years here, 4 years here, blah, blah, blah. And then there's something like that you could fill the gap very easily when you tell, for example, that in this period I was doing freelancing. And then I was like, okay, good. So this person has actually like linear history in games creation. And then other thing, what I also see asked a lot. So when you are applying, like now Yousician, they are dealing with music. And then there are like then also we usually do games. So put the word there. So very often I'm helping another company which is very close to Yousician, and people are applying there, and then they do not mention at all that, for example, their hobby, the music, or like.
Yeah, thanks, Arja. But I need to clarify a little. For Yousician, even though we deal with music and we want to educate, bring musicality as common as literacy, but still, at the end of the day, we are hiring for qualified, skilled engineers we're not hiring for musicians, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's
Are
the
you a
point.
musician
Yeah.
or not? Of course, to join our mission, it's important, but musical skills are not needed. I'm a terrible musician myself, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
but
to
it's
clarify
like
that.
you promise also that they learn playing music there. So,
Yeah. So no pressure here.
but actually, like the point is that
Yeah.
you need to kind of like accept the main substance. So
Yeah.
like the that if you absolutely, I've been even discussing with a person who says that I absolutely hate games or music, and there's like, how are you going to like hanging there, because it's all around that it's
Mm.
like you need to like games at least.
Yeah, yeah. And also, it would be interesting to kind of see as technology is developing the whole time and the whole industry. So if the person wants to add, like, next, I would want to learn this, or this is the thing that I'm most passionate about as well, to get a bit of a personality here.
Yes, definitely. And I actually wanted to circle back a bit to the years of experience, because sometimes juniors also ask me, okay, Alex, they say 2 years of experience in the requirements. I don't have 2 years, so what do I do? And actually, currently, I quite like it, because some companies are trying not to put, and we're also slowly at Tactile trying not to put the years of experience specifically, and more look at projects and work done, because there are some projects where for 3 years you just do the same thing and you don't really develop, and there are projects that are so intensive that for 1 year you could have learned so much that you have a lot to share as well. So just don't get discouraged, but it's good to justify it also when you're applying for a job. When you see this also should be something that maybe slowly will disappear a bit in job advertising, that this year of experience requirement. But if you see that, then it's good to justify, okay, but my project was complex, this is what I've been doing, this is exactly the tools that I've been using, and they fit exactly the requirements.
Yeah,
I agree, and especially for that way around, that someone might be that they don't have the specific 3 years, but sometimes I actually think that the years are good, because to add it that we don't, because we have some roles that are pretty kind of hands-on and don't have that much strategic development. So then, in order not to get too senior people to apply for that, so the years is a good indicator in that sense, that I might be too senior for this. This might be too simple role for me.
that I think that the good news in gaming industry is that, like, sometimes I love to find the wild cards, like the people out of the box. And I've been following a little bit the discussion here on the chat boxes, like during the previous talks, and so they put, like, just say that if the biggest take out of this event is, if you are like total rookie, you may have like a little bit of some training in your backpack, but like, keep on doing games and keep on like collecting all kinds of experiences, game jams, all that type of like happenings are really great to do, like start to get to know people and get to start to collect all kinds of projects, this and that. And then kind of like, I can say that if I talk to a person, I can see it from the eyes, basically, that who really wants this, because games is not, for gaming industry is not like it's kind of like a meritocracy, and you need to have the certain passion to get there. That is very important. And I see at instant of a guy who is the person just like, okay, trying out, or is there something like very deep interest and motivation behind it. And you have all of you who are still like basically on the junior level, you have a chance. You just like need to start today. develop.
Yeah, and just show show the person that just treat it a bit your CV as a this is my achievements. This is how it corresponds to this job. This is and it's such a simple thing to say, but it's so often that we just don't see this correspondence between the job that this person applied for and their CV. And maybe there is, maybe that's the reason they applied. But if we can see it, we can move forward with the amount of workload we have as well to go in and book a call and seek for those trades. So unfortunately, that's the work on the candidate side to list those relevant parts.
I agree completely. And one thing also which might be confusing or misleading is sometimes I see a CV that has a lot of things and I can't get the clarity, and I go check the LinkedIn profile because that's a format it's the most clarified for me. And then if there are some kind of they're not matching the CV or LinkedIn, that is always confusing, and that is a bit of an orange flag. So always make sure that your CV is also aligned what you share publicly in LinkedIn. But of course, we should be a bit more thorough discussion about that.
And then I also see sometimes that people have like they may have been like job hopping, so few months here, few months there, and basically make sure that you are able to explain it. One of the nicest CVs that I've seen lately, there was like different projects and companies, and there was very clearly put project, contract work. So good enough for me.
Yeah. Or what happens in the startup scene every day. This project didn't really
exactly
break through.
But if you give us a hint on your CV about this, then the chances are way higher. And also, if you were junior and you put link to any of your code repositories like GitHub, make sure that this code is correct and clean and will not cause a breakdown for someone who's trying to run your program or your game.
Yeah,
that would be an unmemorable kind of no. And also to going back to that, actually, that I think people are better employees if they have experienced some failures or kind of unluck situations as well. So don't be ashamed if you made some mistakes within your career. Probably that makes you better as a person, as an employee as well.
Yeah. Like we say in Finland, Siberia is teaching you. So it's good to like also like put up some bad experiences. So like, no, we tried to make a game. Our company was bankrupted. I said like, no, so what? Most of them
it happens. Yeah, exactly.
It makes you more resilient.
You are very lucky. You are very lucky if you end up to a company and work there for 3 years, and then leave in good terms and conditions, like, and basically change to another job. But the best people are such also like that have seen also harder times.
That's true. Hey, do we go to questions or do we discuss on the cover letter?
I think we have like pretty much
a lot of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, shoot, if there's any time for us to reply to anything.
Let's do a few questions because I think it's such an interesting discussion. Because of art role applications or creative portfolios, how does a recruiter who has no creative background decides which artist to contact?
Yeah, I do this in a way. I used to sit next to the art directors for like hundreds of interviews, and I can tell you directly that my eye catches only the really good ones and the matching ones. Then I see also which portfolios are the most crappy ones. and then anything in between is pretty much blur to me. So
Yeah.
but usually I end up like getting like the 3 to 5 people that are also like interesting to the art directors.
I work super closely with our director, and really sort of getting their opinion quite often, because those are tricky, and there is also a usually certain type of style that they have in mind. So we work a lot with ArtStation, and working together, and that art roles are really about the partnership.
I agree. With designer roles, we require the portfolio besides the CV, and with those, it's our designer team member who reviews the portfolios.
Yeah. What I noticed that in each time in the artist kind of like the cohort that is looking for the job, there is a number of like the kind of like the best job looking artist of that momentum, and they seem to be in various places at the same time. And like especially if there are a lot of companies, for example, doing casual mobile, so the style is quite close to each other, and then that's one. But like the ones that, like, for example, drop out the quickest, for example, when I'm doing screening, are those whose like style doesn't apply at all to the actual job in question.
Yeah, and to build on that, also on technicalities, if your portfolio is not on ArtStation or in terms of design, like Behance, for example, make sure that if you're sending a file, we can actually enter the file. I had millions of situations I couldn't just see the portfolio because the link was broken, or it was like a Google Doc or something like that. So just make sure we can actually see your portfolio.
Yeah, it has to be quite on the top, because very often I'm not like a super specialist of art, but like I always put it on top when my client, for example, is opening up the CVs. So they are just like interested in portfolio, and then after that we start to talk about the candidate and see who will qualify, and then comes the testing phase, and then the last discussion. So this starts another way around of your style, of your portfolio, quality of the portfolio.